you the Q&A with him. Yeah, we are. Thank you. So I'm going to, David and I talked for a minute, and I just asked David to share this with the class. And after talking with David just a minute, he's going to be green on what we're going to do. So David, just share with the class what you just shared with me. Yeah.
So going back to my XO, when he came to us a little over a year ago, he was our S3 initially. For most of the time he's been with us, he was our S3. And he came to my office a month and a half or 2 months in, and he sat down, and he was really struggling because he was noticing that people were struggling with him and was looking for answers to that. So in talking about that with Rob, I do realize that he is open. And
he's wide open now, right?
That's a he setup. Realizes something's going on, that he struggles with people for some reason, but he doesn't know. And I didn't have language at that point like I would have now to have a good conversation with him. And so we talked about how, I could go back and say, hey, remember that one time we talked and, you were struggling with this? I think, kind of what I've learned now, I think I could give you more insights or guidance where I could just look at this tool and like, is that you, is that you, is that you, and how this can be a struggle for other people.
And we're also if he gets that core account and he gets his squad in, we're saying, hey, don't do this, do this. I mean, here's the answers for you. But when David told me that, I was like, hey, man, you're in. If he's already come to you, because that sequence doesn't always go after asking for help. So I said, he's already crashed and he's asked for help. So that's your in, right, to make that happen.
So my question to you is, when do you get your wreath and star? When you realize, oh, this is the personality that's the most narcissistic. Oh, this is the personality that hates car salesmen. This is the personality that is the car salesman. And when do you get to that point, or is there a cheat sheet out there somewhere?
Our cheat sheet is our DDP. We're trying to give you those answers. Literally, the team's like, hey, Rob, take what you know and let's put it in this. So there's more information that we have. I was talking to Chaplain Coyne yesterday that we have about that sequence, but it doesn't fit on a phone on the same screen, right? So it's going to be how do we end up taking information and make it in a practical way that's simple but is here. We're having to sort of say what's the most important information about that. That's one. Two, I think you'll begin to see that the more reps that you get. I could end up saying narcissistic, and I don't mind saying those kind of things on our stuff, but you're going to be able to pick up on that, right? Through your own critical thinking, through your reps of what you do. And then what we want to do is about this core community where we're sharing information together and learning about that together, right? I'm still a student. I will continue to be a student. So you guys will help me like, okay, that happened. So I just file that. I got it. So
there's more out there, but it may not all appear here. Will we get that in a PDF, or is it not ready?
So right now what we're doing is that we're staying with our DDP to say, hey, this is the information that we want you to learn right now. Why go learn all this other information when we can't even apply this piece? We want you to connect and avoid conflict. If you can do those two things, we believe you have better teams.
What is I thought about this, I think yesterday, and I failed to mention it, the medical side of some of this, maybe if there's chemical stuff or how chemicals or medicines can affect somebody's core something. Do you guys have any comments or ideas on that?
So my experience has been, to answer your question, we don't have any of that in this DDP. My experience has been when I do counseling, I'm always interested in, personally, in where they are, what kind of drugs they're taking. I absolutely believe drugs are changing us physiologically, right? So the only way to really get after that scientifically is pre-drug assessment, post-drug assessment. I don't have anything on that. I do believe there are certain sequences that experience certain things more often. And yeah,
Well, when I'm hearing his R heavy guy, I'm thinking adult ADD.
Yeah.
If that were addressed, maybe that could really
Yeah.
bring some balance to that.
yeah. So we're hoping to get other PhD people on to say, hey, I want to study this, and this is use our assessment, go study it. Let us know what kind of study do you have on it. That's going to make our whole team better, right? So I think there's a lot out there that we could go down, and I'm just hoping that we have other people come into our team whose desires that, or they're doing a study on that. Like, hey, use our assessment and tell us what you find. Yeah. I'm really interested in that when it comes to children. So I used to be in education. Parenting is a big issue. We have to give a description of our kids today so we can sell them the drugs. Right? We have to label them so that the drug can be given. So there's a lot of labeling that we're doing with our children, and I'm very interested in that whole realm. Yeah. Great questions. Okay. Guys, I guess I lost my internet. We on 17? Oh, yeah, you did. Okay, so let's just deal with another type of conflict. Then I'm going to bring the Whitlocks up and we're going to close for lunch. First two letters with the last two letters is a type of conflict. So here's an example of a CO with an OC. Okay? So look at your two-letter tool. Everybody go to your digital training platform. And we're just trying to get you some reps. We're trying to get you to understand this. Okay? I know this can be redundant, but this is a type of conflict. Now, we've already taught you one of the types of conflicts. What types of conflicts are on the screen right now that we've already covered? Well,
Focus on people and disorganization.
okay, hold on. Before that, on our types of conflict, what C first, C last? What type of conflict is that? One letter conflict, first letter, last letter, right? When you have first letter, last letter, what other type of conflict do you have going on? This is just review. Perceptions is going on, right? And now we're adding one, which is what? Two letters with the last two letters. Is it hard for this OC to connect with this CO? So go to your two-letter likes on your DDP. Yes.
I mean, with the numerical value, like the numbers, would it play a role?
Yeah, we're just staying away from that right now. We're just trying to teach in a simple way. I don't want you to go there yet. I really believe whether it's 5 or 10, it's still going to be the same. We need this C last person to do this C first stuff. Yes? Does that make sense to you? Okay, so go to two-letter likes. So let's just review. What does a CO person like? And look at what the OC person maybe won't naturally do. So give me one or two things that you think that could be problematic or really a type of create conflict. Tim, that's where you started answering. So go back to your answer.
So the CO.
Which is you. Tim's good at this one, okay? He's CO.
So the CO is naturally going to default to people, people's feelings, people's thoughts, considering people, and then will also seek to help people by organizing things,
Okay.
organizing the problems in their lives, organizing their decision-making, priorities, stuff like that.
Good.
And then the OC they are going to, so part of the conflict is going to be that a person with, so a person who has the last two letters as OC will be much more rational and like decision-making focused as opposed to people focused. And so there's going to be a disconnect from the person to from the results.
Okay.
And so I think that'll be one of the aspects of conflict as far as the filter and the priority of their decision making.
Okay, do you have anybody in your squad that's that? Because you're CO. And I don't think I have anybody else in the room that's CO. But do I have anybody that's OC in the room? Your last two letters are OC. Anybody OC? No, so you're the only shot we have. You have anybody on your squad? No. Okay.
And as a C, I'm sorry to disappoint
You what? What'd you say?
you. As a C, I'm sorry to disappoint you. I don't have somebody in my spot.
No, it's okay. So let me give you an example. Write this example on your paper, okay? Because I've said this twice already. We're missing part of this training because our REER is not here. Rebecca, hold on. Let me throw the cube to you. Where's the cube go? Whoa!
Good job.
I'm just glad there wasn't coffee on there.
So my question is at this point in time, on the digital tool, we can't just pull those two opposite things up. Because we have to just say the CO likes, but then we have to go to the ERRE dislikes.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah. So let me give you an example of this. I could be wrong. We'll have to cut this out. I believe this is what President Trump's sequence is at the bottom. Huh? I know, I'm just trying to say, I mean, we're going to get it. Maybe Brian sent it to he sent it out to get it, but we'll see what happens. Chaplain coined it. Okay. So let me just put this in example. CO here. I got a loving, kind person like Tim who's a planner. To somebody who doesn't plan well and who is not loving. They're fun, but don't take fun for what? Kindness. Everybody say that. Don't take fun for what? Yeah, fun person. Energetic, energized here, right? Don't hear me say they're not kind to people. I didn't say that. Okay? Give their shirt off their back to the people in their circle. So I got a loving kind. So I had this C last person who perceives a C like somebody like Tim in perceptions. Too soft, all those things going on, right? And you're also wanting to plan more than what they what? Want. So let's put this in a scenario. We have a wife and a husband. I would end up saying because she's O first, a budget would be more important to her than this person. Do you guys follow that? I'm just trying to make this very simple. E first letter, do they stick to a budget? No, even if they're EO. Okay, but he's what? O here. So could she always talk or a lot say, hey, you're impulsively buying things when it's not part of our what? Budget. And he would say, hey, I don't really care about a budget. I just know the amount of money that I have, right? Who's going to end up? So let me tell you this instead of asking this question. C people, first letters. You can write this down. Apologize. I don't know if we have this in our DDP or not. Alex, you can look this up. C people are more likely to apologize. And I'm not saying Darren never apologizes or Josh never apologizes. I'm not saying never. I'm just saying more likely. You would hear, huh? You're forced to because you know if you don't, you're screwed, right? That's way different. That's hold on. That's a smart dude, right? Okay. His reason of apologizing is different than me and you who just say, hey, I'm sorry.
I do it all the time.
I know, you're in IRC first. Josh wouldn't normally do that unless he's with his wife where he says, oh my gosh, I'm really out and out. And for me to fix it, oh, I got to apologize. Say I'm sorry. Well, you and I can smell out people who aren't authentic. So if I smell out he's just apologizing to fix it, we're like, apology's not good enough, right? So he does apologize.
For me, a lot of times it's, I didn't mean to offend somebody, and I know it's important for you, or it might be, so I'm just gonna try to apologize for your sake. I mean, I didn't mean to, but,
Okay, hold on.
well, I didn't think, I didn't mean to, but, you know,
Tim's
it's
like,
important
are
to
you
you."
kidding me?
You're so weak. Let me apologize.
Oh yeah, it plays out, no doubt. But hey, hold on. Here's what we got to do. We got to value differences. Is Josh being truthful? Yes. Does he really?
Sorry,
he's
you're all
really-
offended by my answer there.
Tim is really. I know. Tim's like, are you kidding? Okay, this may ERCO is almost your XO. Okay, so that's one reason I wanted to bring that up, to bring it back to you. You got somebody who's open, who's crashing in connections at work, in his work squad, and he's asking for help. Okay, so when you have this double conflict going on, what we're saying with our framework, you have a tendency of having more conflict because there's more opportunities to miss. When you have more opportunities to miss, you end up not being able to connect as often. You got to work at it. At least we're giving you something to hang your hat on with it. Any questions about that, about CO? I told you guys this morning, if you guys come out with your own experiences, we'll have way more fun. Just hey, here's what I know about Josh. If Josh is talking, that's really awesome. That's what I think. Okay, for some reason I'm not seeing my. Oh yeah, here we go. ORRO. ORRO. Okay, let's do anybody OR in your squad. Anybody OR in your squad and who is, what do we have? RO. All right, I want you to come up to the board and talk to the class. So you have an OR with an RO in your squad? Now, it cannot be you. It may be two different people in your squad. Right. So I want you to come and teach the class. My wife. Come on up. Hold on. So I want you to sort of work through what we've learned in class. Help him. So if he says something or y'all talk. And I'll help you, okay? So you're not going to be by yourself.
So my two daughters, my oldest and my third are ECRO. Okay, the Yahoos, the party, they love to, the third child, she doesn't go to her nothing box, she goes to her dance box, and she does not even thinking about it.
That's JD, guys. He's talking about JD right now, as a kid.
And so my wife, ORCE, very low on E, I'm very high on E, that's a whole other story. She goes to, she is, her comfort zone is structure. Her comfort zone is home, and a well-ordered home, things are put in place, not obsessively, but she is in her happy place when things are neat, they're ordered, and there's a schedule. These don't follow schedules. Schedule why?
give us an example of what your home looks like when you say that. So you're telling us, so give me tell me how
Okay.
tell me where that plays out,
So,
or tell the class.
so all right, I'll go with my, my third born, she's 11. And she comes to, she'll work up in her room and they're all homeschooled. And my wife in her mind is thinking, okay, I gave her the schedule. She has everything here. And she goes at the end of the day, hey, Mary, did you get this literature done? No. And it just the tears come and I just don't know what you expect of me. And I just don't know. And this is, you know, my wife says, whoa. Whoa. And of course, you know, my wife loves my daughter and wants to connect with her, but this frustrates her no end. This RO at the very end frustrates her because she, sorry,
That's right.
she can't because this OR at the front of her sequence is telling her she needs more structure. And I've just been thinking through this. How in the world can I help my 11-year-old to connect with my wife, to connect with my 11-year-old, and make this homeschooling thing, make it work better for them, and not having this be a divisive issue. They love each other with all their hearts, but this is a frustration for both of them.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if I'm teaching anything more than say, help.
Oh, I got it. I hear it. Hear it.
So,
Yep.
So yeah, the frustration here, and also I'll go with my oldest. She loves to be with people, but she's more introverted. The 11-year-old's much more extroverted. And so we have somebody who loves to be with people, but then also needs to pull back some. My wife, extremely introverted. And so we have these, extreme extrovert, an ambivert, and my wife, the introvert. And so that wears on my wife too. This E up front, needing to be with people, that wears on her because in her emotional makeup, she just doesn't go there.
Sucks the energy out of her.
It does.
Right.
It does. And so me, I'm an ambivert. I can see both sides of the fence. So
where do you land?
On a scale of 1 to 10, depending on the day and the situation, I'm either a 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Introvert,
Sometimes you
extrovert.
land, no, where, do you land with a daughter or with a mom?
Yes, sir.
On both?
It really depends on the situation. It really does. OERC.
So I heard him ask for help. So I'm going to bring Bobby and Rebecca Whitlock up here, and I want you to hear their story, and I want you to listen to what they've been doing as a parents. That's going to relate to your situation, Mike. Okay. So this was a setup for me to bring them. Yeah, he set this up for sure. Okay. You got it. Okay. How you guys do what you do, take your time, we're good.
So you heard a little bit, an introduction to how my family got involved with sequencing yesterday. So I'm the 8th Army Command Chaplain. I'll hold it closer. So I was 8th Army Command Chaplain. I meet a young chaplain who's got this tool, and he sequences me and then tells me about myself. And so I agreed to go to some training that he's doing in Yongsan, Korea at the Dragon Hill Lodge. So my wife and I show up for this training in the morning, and he sequences everybody in the room. They have their placards in front of them, telling their letters and numbers, and he proceeds to begin to teach us about this tool. Rebecca is sequenced for the first time, and when he starts talking about her sequence, from my perspective, he's right on target. He's already nailed me. And then he connects to her sequence. And when we have a break, a lunch break, if I remember correctly, Rebecca has bought into it enough to take the assessment home to our daughters. She brings it back, she hands it to Rob. Rob looks at it very briefly and just gets right to the heart of the matter in our home. And he said, Miss Whitlock, you and your daughter have been fighting your whole lives, and you're the problem. So I really did expect there
But
to
I
be.
did not deck him because there was people.
I expected there to be some type of engagement at that point, but it was much more peaceful because for 25 years at that time, my wife and daughter had been fighting consistently. And because I'm C first, I would insert myself into that fight to try to bring peace, a calm environment. And I would get beat up by both my wife and my daughter. And then that would stress me, and then I would become aggressive. So it was really an ugly cycle in our home.
I don't know. Yes, because Brianna, this would be, of course, Bobby, me, Brianna. I don't know if y'all see any problems with these sequences right here. Y'all see who can tell me the problems? I'm sorry. Am I in the way?
Mom, that's O-R-C-E. We have Brianna, E-C-R-O.
I thought I was writing big, sorry. Oh,
Brittany is R-O-C-E.
I had to pick a different color.
I'm sorry, Bethany, R-O-C-E. You have one there?
Well, we got question marks by Brittany and Todd, just because we're guessing, because Brittany's special needs, so she functions about third, fourth grade level academically, and Todd's 7.
So Brittany is O-R-C-E, question mark, Todd is 7, E-C-R-O. We're going to, I want you to do this, but we're going to come back, and then they find out if the teams are squad together, but they're going to tell a story, and I want you to be able to just look.
So Brittany being special needs her whole life didn't make her like, we kind of went in with that first, the birth order thing. Well, she went in birth order. And so Brianna came along, and Brittany's quiet. Brianna's out everywhere. So she kept our life totally interesting in ways I didn't want. And then Bethany came along, our youngest, and like 2 years apart, and she was a good combination of the two. She didn't make all the same mistakes that Brianna was content on making. Oh, there's that chaplain's family coming to children's church, and they brought Brianna. She is under the table. All the kids are over here, and she's under the table with her shoes off and like knocking on the bottom of the table. And so you hated it as a chaplain family to go to children's church and say, oh, so what happened today? She's 3, I'm sorry. And so that was what I grew up with her, is that whole, she's here, she's there, she's not where I wanted her to be, is right here. As an OR, I very much like my structure, and she was very much not structured. And so when Rob, who knew nothing about us, said to me that I was the problem, and this is what's been happening, and I'm like, how he didn't know me from Adam. I mean, he'd met Bobby a couple times, but I didn't think Bobby'd been telling our life story at that point. Maybe he had been. So I'm not sure where to go. So that's the layout. So we've got Brittany, who's special needs. Nobody knows her name at all, because you think, it's usually the kid you got to reel in some ways. Brianna was my normal child, and everybody knew her name, just like everybody knows Todd's name. And because Todd is our 7-year-old, who is, we think, pretty much like her. And word of caution, please don't ever pray for your child to have a child just like them. Because that will be your grandchild. And you still have 40 more years to have to deal with. And then you're like, okay, my child needs to do something with their child, and it's not working. And of course, at that point, you can't say anything because you're the grandparent.
Let me interrupt for a
Yeah,
second,
do that.
okay? So let me paint the picture a little bit better for you. So as a child, when Brianna was 2, Bethany was 2 months, and Brittany, our special needs daughter, was 4. I deployed the first time to Zagreb, Croatia. I was gone for 6 months, and Rebecca would send me videotapes of our girls, who I missed desperately. And she was being the great mom and great wife. She would send me videotapes. So I remember putting a videotape into the VCR and watching my girls playing together with Bethany, our 3 or 4 month old child, on the floor, her sisters playing around her, little climbing toy that they had. And Rebecca, I could hear her saying, be careful with Bethany. She's your sister. Don't step on Bethany. And the next thing you notice is Brianna widens her circle and steps on Bethany and goes and climbs again. And, oh, be careful. Love your little sister. And again, Brianna comes around, steps on Bethany. Bethany begins to cry. And the video cuts out. So, Josh, what was my ORCE wife doing that she cut the video out? There was definitely an engagement taking place, and it wasn't in Zagreb. And that continued. That process continued. Brianna in middle school would go to school. I don't know if it's the sequence or if it's just my daughter, but she was wicked smart.
She still is.
And she still is. And she made good grades in school, but she hated homework. Do you hate homework, Jason? She hated homework. She didn't want to do it. And she would come home. Now, mom and dad are elast. Mom's very structured. And we knew what life is really like. And our job is to grow our children up to be productive members of their community. And so we would say, what do ELAS people do? Hey, get your work done, and then you can go and play. So I remember for 4 or 5 straight years, Brianna would come home from school. She would have 15 minutes of homework that only required her to write words out or write one sentence. She could have done it in 15 minutes. But it would turn into a 4 or 5 hour ordeal. There would be tears. There would be yelling. There would be frustration, anger, all the emotions you can imagine. And then at the end, all she had to do was 15 minutes. You can go play with your friends after that. But you got to do your homework first. And at the end of that ordeal, we always won because we had to win. This is our children at stake and their future for us. And at the end, Brianna would break down, do 15 minutes of homework, but then her whole playtime was shot.
Because then it's time to go to bed.
It's time to clean up, eat supper, clean up, go to bed. Uh,
So Mr. Rob tells us we should have just let her go play.
Now, some of you are so smart, you would have said, well, why didn't you let her go out and play first for 3 hours and then come in and do 15 minutes of homework? Because that's not the way it's done for ELAS people. You don't do it like that. There's a right way and a wrong way. Correct, Rebecca?
That's right. And it's my way.
And for ORCEs, the right way is usually their way. And if it's not their way, even if it is a way, it's not the right way. But what I realize now, looking back, is that we, as ELAS parents, crushed our E-First daughter.
And she was 22 at the time that we met Rob. Sorry, I'm looking at Rob. She was 22, had a baby out of wedlock, was living with us in Korea. And so she was around to kind of learn the process as we have been learning it. It was hard because as an E first and having a baby living in our house, you know, her ways, I had to bite my tongue a lot because I'm like, okay, it's her baby, but it's not going well. And if she would just do whatever, you know, put his diaper on backwards or something, I don't know, but then it would have, you know, been better. Go ahead.
What's interesting is we had done such a great job with Brianna
Oh, yeah.
as parents that she had high levels of trust for our capability of advising her on how to be a better parent. They were way up there, not. And so we struggled again at 22 with an ECRO adult living in the house with an ORCE mother and a CROE father. It was no easier on Brianna then than it was as a child.
Well, and you want to know the honesty of it? When she went to college, I was glad she went to college. I didn't have to see it every day in my house. I didn't have to struggle with, if she'd get out of bed and just go do something, just go do something, you know, don't just be lazy, in my opinion, or don't.
Clean up her room,
Yeah.
organize
Any of it.
something.
When she moved away, I was like, I hate to say it, and I probably shouldn't say it out loud, but I've actually told her it's easier. We didn't have that struggle. We could enjoy each other better because we weren't together all the time. But then she came back and moved in with us. And she came back again and moved in with us when we found out she was pregnant out of wedlock because she was doing stupid college age stuff.
Now, let me be clear on this. She didn't come back to us. We went and got her and brought her home because she had no way to support herself or to support her baby.
And the boy was not involved at all.
The father was not involved at all. So she came to live with us. We went through her pregnancy with her in Korea. And Todd came along and we met Rob. We began to learn sequencing and things began to improve between Rebecca and Brianna, myself and Brianna, because we understood what we were doing to each other without intending to do that. Now,
well, and I will tell you, it was really frustrating for me and Brianna to be, you know, I'd be frustrated with Brianna. I'd tell Bobby and he'd go try to fix it. I mean, like, well, and she likes him better. And so that didn't help it any because she likes him better because he's nicer. And so but then when he fix it, then he's in a distress position. And then I feel sad for her because he's all frustrated at her, and then I'm like, oh, I can't win. I can't be mad at her, but then then I got to feel bad for her because he's trying to fix it for me or us. Okay.
And so we go on to Fort Hood, and Brianna and Todd come with us. And Brianna goes back to college and then realizes that she can't be a full-time student and a mom and work a job. And so she makes
And she's E.
she makes the very difficult decision to allow mom and dad to adopt our grandchild. And so Todd was 2 years old, and we adopted him. And Brianna moved. Initially, she didn't move, but the Army, in its infinite wisdom, decided to give me a short notice deployment in 2016. Just a week after we adopted Todd, I came home and told Rebecca, hey, in 90 days, I'm going to deploy for a year. And my wife's response was, you deployed every other time I had a baby, so I don't know why this one should be any different. So shortly after I deployed, Brianna decided to leave the home
Yeah, she's
and
moving
go
out.
off on her own.
So when we adopted Todd, then we had to transition from being grandparents to parents. And Brianna decided on her own that she would be the fun aunt, which is good because she's in EC. And, but in all of that, God's grace and it was his grace that we got to spend time back together and heal some old wounds. And so I want to give you hope that we get along well. Actually, I think even though growing up, Bethany is more us. Sorry. Brianna and I have a better relationship because she also tries. I mean, she kind of still gives me that little side eye, like, okay, Mom. But it was knowing the sequences has helped. And we all talk it when we're together, so, but just that how, because, okay, I understand this because you just can't help it. And I can give you grace because I understand you struggle with that and I see that you're trying. And when I see that they're trying or she sees that I'm trying, and it's better. It's just been a lot better. You got something because I lost my train of thought.
Yeah. And the reason Rebecca gives you a warning never to pray that your children have children
that's
just
right.
like them, because your grandchildren come to visit you, or you may be like us and end up adopting a grandchild. And so you get a second chance.
To work
We
that
don't
out,
know
that's
what
it.
these middle letters are, but we're pretty sure that it's EO, front and rear. So now God has given us another opportunity to
Work it out.
parent a child that is very, very different than we are. And we're trying not to make the same mistakes that we made the first go round.
Brianna said, oh, I understand now, and she did very well, helping him to call us mom and dad. And just the whole, I understand I'm having to bite my tongue a lot because now you're the mom and dad and can't tell you what to do. But we do ask her opinion and say, and there was one day I asked her, I said, so what could we have done differently? Because she was the kind, in my opinion, that you could tell her all day long to do something and she'd be like, I don't think so. But you ask her, sure, why not? Well, I'll do whatever you want. You just have to ask me. We did learn that earlier. But I said, so tell me what we could have done now, seeing that you're E, I'm O, or whatever. She said, well, actually, I made those choices and I decided that it was just worth the hassle. And I'm like, well, that doesn't help me at all with Todd. So, because he's going to make his own choices. And so we just have to realize, one other thing, Mr. Rob. He said, it's your problem, you're the problem, and you're the one that's going to have to move. So I have to move my E this way, or move my O, move my expectation. I'm like, that's not fair. Why am I always the one that's going to have to do the moving? And because I was the one responsible and I'm the adult, like with Todd. And said, okay, but now Brianna's an adult. And she said, well, but Brianna has stepped up and she is trying also. So just the biggest part of this for me is there's hope, and you can come out stronger, and you can have more grace and give more grace. Go ahead.
And for me, what's really fun to watch is that even though we provide all of Todd's care and love on a daily basis, he lights up when Brianna and he talk on FaceTime or whatever. They just play together.
Right.
She is excellent with him until she's had enough, and then she turns it off and goes back to her life and what she likes, and leaves Todd with us. But it's, even though we're there every day, the connection between his E first and her E first is just vivid all the time. She comes in, he lights up. It's just that simple for me.
He knows she's his first mom.
And Todd knows he's adopted. Todd knows Brianna was his birth mother. But he sees her as a sister now, and us as parents. And I think he's going to have a much better life because of all the pain we as parents inflicted on Brianna. So, and thanks to Rob and this assessment, we're going to be much better parents for him than we were for Brianna. So.
And I just want to say real quick about Bethany. So Bethany is ROCE, and she was always the compliant seeming child. But look, going through this, I realized that I probably missed her a lot, because she was willing to show us what she wanted us to see, or what she thought we wanted to see and be, and maybe didn't feel as, I don't know if she trusted us enough or not, but maybe now these days, I feel like that sometimes we miss each other because she thinks about the why so much and she's got it all figured out, and she is extremely intelligent. And so I struggle in some ways more with her now than I do with Brianna. I can understand Brianna more. I think because she is almost totally opposite. I just like, okay, what would I do? Then that's not what she's going to do. So.
Well, Patrick, you'll be happy to know that Bethany's way smarter than us, so she outsmarts us all the time. She thinks it through, and
Yeah.
it's always 2 steps ahead of us.
She's already getting us going where she wants us to go.
Hey, Bobby and Rebecca, can you guys, I just have a question, and so this is for Mike, because we have an OR with an RO, and we got Josh is here, OR, so we have a few of our squads where that's going on. So can you just sort of give us a couple of highlights of how you're trying to work with Todd right now, and either some of the struggle that you're having or some of the success that you're having, really for you, Rebecca, like how you're having to sort of learn it and try to live it and practice and demonstrate the struggle, but maybe some things, it's you win some, you lose some, but it's this work piece. So with you and Todd, yeah.
I'll try.
Yeah.
So Todd is 7. He's tall for his age. He's 2, is very smart. He thinks he's smarter than we are. He knows everything, especially if it includes me. He's definitely a boy. Even when he was little, even when he was a baby, like be holding him and he'd sit in my lap, you know, like looking out at you guys and he'd rear back. And so he's always been very physical. And he likes to try to dominate me. It's as an ORCE, part of this I figured out is I need his respect. I don't care if he loves me or not. I need him to do what I say when I say. And he's like, yeah, right. Sure. Next week, maybe. And so for that, it's really hard for me because I can be working, we will be working, doing homework. He's first grade. And so he's had a struggle learning to read. So he learned to read during this COVID stuff. And we ended up teaching him. Fight me every step of the way. And I try to make it fun. I'm trying to think up games. I'm not real quick on my feet like that. But I can be even day before yesterday. So we're working on homework. All he's got to read is like two pages in this book. And he's acting like he didn't know the word. He didn't know how to sound it out. He didn't know how to do this. Dad's upstairs. He hears Dad start coming down the stairs. All of a sudden, he can read. Irritates the heck out of me. And so I am struggling with, you can do all this when Dad's around, but you can't do it because you're trying to show me or teach me a lesson that I'm not in charge of you. And so I am still struggling with that. Even as aggravating as Brianna was, I had two more, so I could make them go play. I could get away from it. Brittany lives with us. She's 31, but she's not a big talker with anybody else. But Brianna, so when Brianna was little, there was other ones. There was always something crazy going on. But it's just basically Todd's kind of being raised as an only child. And so he thinks he's in charge. He thinks, did you have a question? Please.
So I know yesterday they talked about like there's no difference between male and female.
Right.
Do you think it's although you might know the secret, do you think it's your approach?
I'm sure it is.
Different from, so you can know somebody's secret,
Mm-hmm.
but your approach might make that person.
Right. I can walk in his room in the morning and get him up, and he's already mad. He walks in the room in the morning to get him up. All I did was walk in the room. I haven't done anything but walk in the room. He walks in and he starts laughing.
No,
I don't understand. It's true.
You're right. I don't think there is a difference because I can remember when both Brianna was small and Todd was small. I remember them fighting as Rebecca and Brianna literally engaging each other when she was an infant nursing. And I know all children bite on occasion, but Brianna bit a lot. And there was frustration. She was different. It's almost like they could sense each other's differences. Rebecca's sequence needs to control the environment around her and needs respect. And that's something that Brianna didn't give freely, and she would not be controlled. And we think Todd's the same way. He demonstrates. So I don't see there's any gender difference.
No.
Todd smacks with the head, Brianna bit or hit. All those things. We see the same type of stuff in both of them.
As I listen to
You can
guys'
cry.
story, my son is 21, and it's something like.
Hey, Rebecca, can you give him the mic? Yeah.
So my son is 21, and I think I'm not even a thought process. I know I destroyed our relationship, and even as I can tie my character strengths with the sequence, I see some of the mistakes. Like for example, sometime
Hey,
your perception of
Yukon, do you have his assessment? Did you give him assessment, your son?
not yet.
Okay, I was just curious.
As I look at the things that I enjoy, it's like the likes. I never took into account the things he liked. I had an expectation that I am dad, so you should like, like when you look at the sequence, now I can go back and I can look at these sequence, and I have to be attuned with his likes and understand that my likes is my likes. Because, as I hear you guys start to speak, I remember like taking my son to Fort Sumter. I love history. And I was showing him the invisible cannons, and it was guns. And I had a strong expectation for him to enjoy that. And when he was like, I don't care about no cannon, I got mad. And I got mad, and I destroyed that beautiful moment we had as father and son, because I would, if I would just let him, and maybe enjoy the water by Fort Sumter, we could have talked. But I want him to enjoy what I enjoy, and that's what I equate the likes, understanding a person's like and they dislike in order to have the right conversation instead of the wrong fight.
I'm in 100% agreement with you. The good news is, just recently, I've begun to talk to Todd about sequence, and Rebecca as well. But we have determined we're going to parent him as an E-first child.
Even I felt like Brianna. I remember saying when she was 3, I'm a bigger 3-year-old than she is. And she's smarter than I, and I'm being kept up by, undone by a 3-year-old. But then, she ran our household. If she didn't like something, we didn't go, because I didn't want to have to do the fight. If she didn't want to go eat somewhere, we didn't go eat there, because I didn't want to have to live with the fight. And we've determined that we're not going to do that with Todd. He's not going to run our household, but we are going to do it differently and take into account him.
We're going to use what we've learned with this tool to meet Todd where he is and get him to a place where he's comfortable and we're comfortable. So it requires a lot of work. An E-first child wears out E-last parents. So one very practical piece of advice that Rob gave us was find an E-first person or couple that you know and trust, and connect them with Todd and let them give you and Rebecca a break. And so we've done that. I'm sorry.
We're taking them to your house.
So we've done that, and it works. They connect somehow. They just know how they get each other. And the good news for us is Grandpa, Rebecca's dad, is an ECRO. He's 77 years old, but Todd is very comfortable around Grandpa. Not so much Grandma, but Grandpa's really cool with him. So it's just the very practical things. So I think that because their sequences are so different, that Todd instantly goes yellow when Rebecca comes in the room, because no matter how hard we try not to, we still put control and constraints on him, even when we're not aware of it. And
His perception, I guess.
Yes, yeah.
it's exactly his
That's it.
perception. So we think we're being very flexible and meeting him where he needs us to be, but I think that he feels controlled by that. And so we've got to learn to get better and better. And it will challenge us. Just knowing it doesn't make it happen. You have to keep being reminded, and it's frustrating. But
It's not fair.
it's not fair, but we're getting better at it. Anything else?
I'm good.
Thank you for,
Any questions?
thank you for the time.
Just, no, yeah, I got one. Go ahead. Throw him the
Yeah.
cue, the box. So this would connect directly because he wrote hair stem on the board, so.
Amen. Because I'm seeing, yeah, the ECRO and the
Bring it up, Mike.
ORC and the ORCE. Yeah, this is the situation now. My, yeah, same with mine. I wrote down on this paper, how can mom connect with daughter number 1 and daughter number 3, because their daughter 1 and 3 are identical and exactly mirror image of mom.
Yes.
And especially daughter number 3 is mirror image as far as head and heart. My wife is head 9. My daughter is my daughter is heart 8.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
almost exactly opposite in every way.
Yeah.
And my daughter loves to dance. And my wife, in her intuition or genius or God-given inspiration, got her into Irish dance. I didn't understand that at the time. Why Irish dance? But she loves it now. And I'm thinking maybe if my wife got more into Irish dance and let her be in charge of kind of training her up, getting involved, can she connect in that? Is that
Yes,
that's an
yes.
emotional thing?
Yeah, that's it. You heard the E guy tell Josh sing.
Hmm.
Now we're just saying, tell her to dance
Now,
with her. She
so I'm
wants to have
curious-
fun with her.
Would your wife, does she dance on her own?
Not normally. She's very musical. She's more coordinated than I am, so she can, but she doesn't usually, but she has done it in the past.
So appeal to your wife's head
Intellect.
that
This is a
this
goal.
will connect and bring you two closer. Your wife's, as Rob keeps saying, her E has to move closer to her O to make that connection. Find ways for you can start talking with your daughter about this as well, in my opinion. And she can know that she needs to do certain things to connect with mom. If she does them, but for your daughter, turn it into a challenge or game. Because ECs typically believe they will win every engagement. I think that's true. When they go into conflict, they believe they will come out okay on the other end.
Hey, let's do this. Let's pick up after lunch. So write your question down for them. So let's go to lunch. I asked David, so it's warm. So let's eat it while it's hot. Write your question that you have right now on a piece of paper before you forget it, UConn, and let's bring them back up and we'll finish this conversation. Great. Hey, will you give them a hand? It's good stuff, right? Hey, it's not easy to open up and talk about your family like they did. So it's significant.